Good morning, and welcome to your morning cereal. Okay, good morning, and welcome to Friday. It's the last day of February, so I hope you made the most of this month, despite it being the shortest month of the year. There's a lot to look forward to in March, though, including March Madness just around the corner, and the first day of spring, just to name two. But let's enjoy the last day of February, because today is National Pancake Day, National Science Day, if you believe in that sort of thing. And for those hardliners out there that can't get behind a National Pancake Day, we can all get behind National Public Sleeping Day. There's nothing more comfortable and relaxing than finding a nice public bench or sidewalk to curl up in, totally vulnerable to our fellow mankind for a nice, peaceful nap. Nope, that's a hard pass for me. I'll stick with the chocolate chip pancakes and two side quotes to kickstart my day. One fun nostalgia quote, and then a second quote to tease our book review later in the episode. Hopefully, one of these quotes will indeed kickstart your day in a positive direction. The first quote is from Kevin Bacon, who said, "Part of being a man is learning to take responsibility for your successes and for your failures," end quote. And the Baconator is not wrong, but I'd just suggest that that's part of maturity, man or woman. And today's teaser quote from the book review is, "Success in dealings with people depends on a sympathetic grasp of the other person's viewpoint," end quote. And as usual, we'll unpack that here in just a few minutes during the book review segment. But first, let's jump into our last dose in the month of February of fun and historic facts on this day in history. Today's news facts and birthdays are for February 28th. Back in 1827, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad became the first steam-operated railroad in the United States. Then on this date in 1861, Congress created my beautiful home state territory of Colorado. Then on this date in 1922, Egypt was declared as an independent country. And on this date in 1931, American basketball coach Dean Smith, who is one of the most successful men's basketball coaches of all time. By the way, he also coached Michael Jordan, as you can see in this picture here. He was born in Kansas on this date. Then on this date in 1955, Gilbert Gottfried was also born. And on this date in 1983, the final episode of the immensely popular TV series MASH, it aired, and it was watched by an estimated 125 million viewers. It held the record until 2010. And the title of that last episode was Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen. Well, on this date in 1984, at the 26th Grammy Awards, Michael Jackson, he won 8 Grammys. Then on this date in 1993, the ATF raided the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas, leading to a 51-day standoff. And in 1998, Pamela Anderson divorced Motley Crue drummer Tommy Lee, another forever couple that I'm just so surprised didn't make it the distance. Then finally, in 2013, Pope Benedict, he became the first pope to resign since Gregory XII in 1415. Well, happy birthday. If today is your birthday, you share a birthday with country singer Jason Aldean. He turns 48 today. Former Mavs basketball player, now Laker, Luka, he's 26. And former racer Mario Andretti, he's 85. And the number one movie on this date back in 1984 was Footloose, starring a very young and very awkwardly dancing Kevin Bacon. You know, maybe I shouldn't knock it until I just try taking out all of my aggressions and frustrations, just dancing my little heart out in an empty barn. Apologies, Kevin. I'm still evolving into my best self. And for the record, Kevin had a dance double and 2 gymnastics doubles. But that doesn't take away from his fire dance moves, as my kids would say. Great soundtrack, that goes without saying. The number one song on this date back in 1989 was Straight Up by Paula Abdul. Straight Up was another song on Paula's debut album, Forever Your Girl, which set a record at the time for the most number one singles on a debut album. She had 4 number ones on that album: Straight Up, Forever Your Girl, Cold Hearted, and Opposites Attract. Incredibly, as of 2025, Paula is still tied with Diana Ross and Lady Gaga for the most number one singles by a female artist in the US. You go, girl. Well, let's go to some personal growth to the book review segment of Morning Serial, where we take a few moments to reflect on lessons learned from the current book we're reading. And currently we're reading through Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a timeless book that is consistently on all the must-read lists, and it's packed with rock-solid advice and actions for all of us to use and build healthy foundational concepts to live by. Yesterday, we finished up Chapter 7 of Part 3, and that chapter was entitled How to Get Cooperation. And to begin this chapter, Carnegie called on some previous foundations he taught us earlier in the book, reminding us that, quote, no one likes to feel that he or she is being sold on something or told to do a thing. We much prefer to feel that we are buying of our own accord and acting on our own ideas. We like to be consulted about our wishes, our wants, and our thoughts, end quote. Carnegie suggested that we plant seeds of an idea with the other person and then sit back and watch the idea grow, all on its own into what the other person often will feel was an idea that they had come up with on their own. This was the other person basically selling themselves on your idea. Carnegie's principle number 7 was let the other person feel that the idea is his or her own. And today we begin and finish Chapter 8 of Part 3 with this chapter entitled A Formula That Will Work Wonders for You. And in these shorter chapters, Carnegie comes right out of the gate laying it out for us. Here he states, quote, remember that other people may be totally wrong, but they don't think so. Don't condemn them. Any fool can do that. Try to understand them. Only wise, tolerant, exceptional people even try to do that, end quote. And you probably recall earlier on in the book review when we were talking about understanding the other person's perspectives. Well, good. In this chapter, Carnegie is doubling down on that philosophy, suggesting we really need to focus on what is driving the other person, identifying the reasons why they are taking the position or acting the way they are acting. If we can determine these reasons, then Carnegie says, quote, you have the key to his actions, perhaps to his personality, end quote. To find someone else's perspective, Carnegie suggests honestly putting yourself in their place, asking yourself, quote, how would I feel? How would I react? End quote. Remember, we are all naturally self-focused people, mostly interested in our own world. And every person we meet is the same way, interested in their own world and their own issues, their own concerns, etc. Carnegie suggests that if we can be aware of this fact when we enter into conversations and acts with other people, then we will, quote, have grasped the only solid foundation for interpersonal relationships, namely that success in dealings with people depends on a sympathetic grasp of the other person's viewpoint, end quote. Here, Carnegie describes how a husband utilized this perspective dealing with his wife. And in this brief story, the husband, from his own perspective, did not understand why his wife spent so much time caring for her garden and the lawn. And when he told her he wasn't sure why she wasted so much time on it because it didn't look any better than when they had moved in, I mean, first off, ouch. But, well, after taking Carnegie's course, the husband changed his approach, realizing how foolish he had been. Kind of seems like the obvious one. But the husband said it hadn't occurred to him that she might possibly enjoy the work and might appreciate a compliment on her diligence. Well, he did just that. He complimented her on what a fantastic job she was doing. He noticed how hard the soil was, and he often helped her pull some weeds moving forward. The result of this, quote, a happier life for both because he had learned to look at things from her point of view, even if the subject was only weeds, end quote. Carnegie cites a quote from the book Getting Through to People by Dr. Gerald Nierenberg, quoting, cooperativeness in conversation is achieved when you show that you consider the other person's ideas and feelings as important as your own, end quote. It's been a while in the book since Carnegie chose to repeat a quote because he thought it was so important. Well, here it is. Here's the next quote that he thinks is so important that he's repeating it. And he's citing Dean Donman of the Harvard Business School, who said, quote, I would rather walk the sidewalk in front of a person's office for 2 hours before an interview than step into the office without a perfectly clear idea of what I was going to say and what that person, from my knowledge of his or her interest and motives, was likely to answer. Carnegie is saying that this philosophy of contemplating the other person's perspective takes time, but it's time very well spent. Carnegie again repeats himself verbatim from all the way back in chapter 3 of part 1, saying that if the reader gets only one thing out of reading this book, he says it's this, quote, an increased tendency to think always in terms of other people's point of view and see things from their angle as well as your own, end quote. And he continues to say that this one thing, quote, may easily prove to be one of the most important stepping stones in your career or your life. Well, here it is in a chapter entitled A Formula That Will Work Wonders for You. Carnegie's principle number 8 is try honestly to see things from other people's point of view. And I'm glad this point came up again because it just serves as a good reminder to constantly consider the other person's perspectives. Well, from your perspective, I'm guessing you're pumped up and you're ready to get on with your Friday, and you're looking forward to your weekend. So I'll remind you that on Monday, we'll begin chapter 9 of part 3 with an intriguing chapter entitled What Everybody Wants. Well, thanks for joining us today, and if you're enjoying the podcast, please tell others about it. That's the best compliment you can give. And have a fantastic day. Goodbye, farewell, and amen. Until Monday, of course. We'll see you then. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to the Morning Serial podcast on the One Life Live It channel. You can find more episodes and videos by visiting our YouTube channel and the website at Sean Inglis and at SeanInglis.com, where you can also follow our other podcasts, the Mr. and Mrs. Inglis podcast and the Life Happens podcast. In these other podcasts, we'll dive deeper into everyday issues, self-improvement and well-being, business and finance, and we welcome special guests too. So join us. It'll be a good time, I promise. Thanks again for listening. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you tomorrow.